Every 5 years, Andra publishes a new edition of the National Inventory of Radioactive Materials and Waste as part of its public service mandate. The inventory describes and lists the radioactive materials and waste currently in France and expected in the future. The contents are drafted on the basis of declarations by holders of radioactive materials and waste producers. This document is a group effort and supervised by a multidisciplinary steering committee, including representatives of the French government, supervisory authorities, and society at large. Inventory data is open and can be accessed by all via the National Inventory website. This data is summarized in various documents: the summary report, the geographic inventory, the catalog describing the different types of radioactive waste, and the catalog describing the different categories of radioactive materials. The National Inventory forecasts future volumes based on several contrasting and prospective French energy policy scenarios. Radioactive materials include radioactive substances which can or will be reused in the future, possibly after processing. Radioactive materials are mainly used by the nuclear power industry. They are used to manufacture fuels which then power nuclear reactors. Radioactive materials are stored in facilities suited to their characteristics until they can be used or reused. Some of these materials have already been recycled in nuclear fuel. Only reuse is considered for other materials. The owners of such radioactive materials are required to regularly check whether they can be reused. Current and forecast inventories of the different types of radioactive materials are listed in the National Inventory. Radioactive waste includes radioactive substances which cannot or will not be reused in the future. The National Inventory specifies the total volume of radioactive waste already disposed of or due to be managed by Andra. Radioactive waste is produced by around 1,000 producers in various business segments: the nuclear power industry, research, the French defense sector, industries other than the nuclear power industry, and the medical sector. Depending on the composition of the waste, radioactivity levels may vary in intensity and persist for different periods of time. Waste is classified into 6 categories. The National Inventory includes detailed waste reviews. Final surface disposal solutions are available for over 90% of this radioactive waste. Andra disposes of this waste at radioactive waste disposal facilities or stores this waste at the producer's sites on a temporary basis, pending disposal at these facilities. Other types of waste are incorporated in projects or studies in view of final handling. We require forecasts for future waste quantities as a basis for the safe long-term management of radioactive materials and waste. Without anticipating future industrial decisions, Andra drafts a prospective inventory every 5 years for this purpose, based on declarations by the main producers of radioactive waste. This inventory covers several contrasting scenarios for changing energy policies, ceasing or continuing with the nuclear industry, and in this case, ceasing or continuing to reprocess spent fuel. As a public agency, Andra provides the French government with its expertise in radioactive waste management. For this reason, Andra assessed the volumes of waste to be produced by 6 new reactors and the impact of the extended life of current reactors. Such data provides a basis for French energy policy guidelines. Some types of radioactive waste are managed using other methods, for which Andra is not responsible. Waste was dumped into the ocean by France between 1967 and 1982, as this method was considered safe by the international scientific community at the time. A permanent ban on dumping radioactive waste at sea came into effect in 1993. Some types of waste are disposed of on or near nuclear facilities or plants. Tailings from the processing of uranium ore can be found at or near former mining sites. Waste containing high levels of naturally occurring radioactivity is managed with in situ disposal or at approved conventional waste disposal facilities. This waste is generated by the processing of raw materials that contain naturally occurring radionuclides but are not used for their radioactive properties. You can refer to the most recent edition of the National Inventory of Radioactive Materials and Waste at inventaire.andra.fr.